money sitting beside me. Hey, we're going to have to fix that camera. Remember, I done knocked it. I hit it before we didn't do it. Hey, guys, welcome to the live well here at Fish North Georgia this Thursday night. I'm telling you, if any booger could have happened so far tonight, it has happened. But we're glad you guys have joined us. We'll get our act together. There we go. I look good right there. So, again, thank you for joining us tonight. We've got a great show in store for you. We're going to talk topwater and Buzzbaits. All right. It's that time of year, even though here in North Georgia, I don't know, because it's like 60 degrees and raining for the 46th day in a row. So, but eventually it's going to get hot, and we're going to have that topwater bite that everybody looks forward to here in North Georgia. So we've got from Brazalo Lures, I'm going to murder your name, but it's Danny, say it. Arballo? Yeah. Did I say it? Arballo? Danny, listen, don't hold that against me. I mess up everybody's daggone. Listen, I murder every name I try. So we got him on there, and we're going to talk about his bait because an event happened with his bait that a lot of you guys know about. And if you don't, we're going to tell you about it. Got Alex right here beside me tonight, Tony running the board. And I got my buddy John Aldred, who just came up here and was sitting here. And I said, you know what? He's going to jump on the show tonight. So we got a full crew tonight, and we welcome your comments and questions for Danny. And any comment or question you got about topwater fishing, we're going to do our best to answer tonight. But let's go ahead. Let's take care of our sponsors, the one that pays the bill. And as always, we start off with Sonar Pros, the official sonar installer of the live well, 770-530-4505 off Highway 369. Trent and the gang are the best in the business, bar none. This is where the pros take their boats. Listen, you can take it elsewhere, but eventually you're going to take it to Trent to get it fixed. So you might as well take it to him the first time and let it be done right, correct. It's the best in the business. They also do detailing now. They started doing that detail stuff. So anyway, tell them the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you, and go check them out over there. And then we got Kevin Underwood with Lipsticker Fishing, 678-459-8419, Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com. Check out his Patreon, patreon.com/lipsticker fishing. If you want to learn about how to catch megalodon spotted bass on Lake Lanier, Kevin is the guy. Check him out on his Facebook page every single day. He's posting what he's putting his clients on. It's as impressive as anybody out there.
He's smashing them today.
He smashes them all the time. And then we got, of course, Evolve Rod Sleeves, the best rod sleeve on the market. Check them out at evolvefishing.com. We've got them here at Fish North Georgia. Hey, they float. They got all the little neat little things about them, like the protective tip and the lanyard and all that. But the best thing about them is you can chunk them in your rod locker, and the hooks will not stay hooked. I guess, is that the best way to say it? Your hooks won't stay hooked.
Yep.
They're not the Chinese finger grabber rod sleeves. They're the best out there. So evolvefishing.com, we appreciate them. And of course, with all the money we spend on these high price lures, you want to get them back. The best plug knocker on the market, Richard Key's Money Saver Lure Retriever. Hey, got them right here at Fish North Georgia. You can check them out. I got all the colors. I'm telling you, this guy is a little bitty torpedo flying through the water, and its design is perfect because the line tie is right there with it. And it, if you got one on the other side of a limb or something, it's not going to just beat the limb to death. It's going to pop over it, get your lure out. It's the best. We appreciate the guys over at Money Saver. And if you want to fish with a legend on Lake Allatoona, Bill Payne's Guide Service, 706-280-2305. Allatoona spotted bass, largemouth bass. He does seasonal smallmouth trips, and he does electronic trips. If you want to get all your stuff set up the right way, get it done by a legend. That's Mr. Bill Payne, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh, yeah.
He is the sweetest old man. Yeah, I say old man. He's just older than me. Bill Payne's the best out there. And then if you're on Lake Lanier, the young gun, Brooks Anderson Fishing. First of all, if you want to know a little bit about him, go check out his YouTube channel, Brooks Anderson Fishing. And he is really good on Lake Lanier, spotted bass, everything about him, how to catch them. But if you got a younger angler and he wants to get his start, he's thinking about pursuing, whether it's educationally or a career in bass fishing, Brooks is exceptional. He's been there. He's done that walk. Check him out. Book a trip with him today, and we appreciate him. And, of course, we got Fishers of Hope. Their mission is to glorify God, be servants of his word, and bring those in need to peace and hope that only he can bring. Check them out on Facebook, or if you want to get in touch with them, Fishers of Hope Ministry at gmail.com. Fishing tournaments for those in need. So you get the best of both worlds. They're doing really good. They're a nonprofit. They got great heart. Tony and the gang up there are superb people, and that money they raise goes to the cause. All of it. So it's really great. You want to be in partnership with a group like this. So we appreciate them. And of course, behind me, if you're in the Jasper, Georgia area and you need tires or alignment, Turner Tires, 706-253-3339. Brock and the guys over there will get you in, get you out. Great local owned business. And we like it when you support your local owned businesses, and they're fishermen just like us. So Turner Tire in Jasper, Georgia. And if you have a company and you want to advertise on some of the most loyal sets of eyeballs out there, hit me up, Danny at fngo.com, and we will shout you out, try to help you grow your business. We'll figure out what your needs are, and we'll try to cater that. Now, guys, with all this, we're getting ready to start social media packages as well. So not only would you get your name shout out on a live well, but also we will do videos and socials for you as well. So we want to help you grow while you guys join us. So email me, Danny at fngo.com. We'll see what we can set up. So other than that, a lot going on here in the fishing world in North Georgia. So much we could talk about. Seems like we got another thing popping up each and every day. You know, we could talk about the ABA drama going on right now. We'll wait till we get a little more info and all that. I don't want to jump in on that just quite yet, but it's out there. The core and the ramps around here, we still could talk about that, but we really wanted to get back to talking about fishing. Everybody comes in the shop. It's Topwater, Topwater, Topwater. Now, the gentleman that's joining us owns, and it's Brazalo. I almost said Brazalo Lures, and you have a Buzzbait, which ties perfectly in with the conversation that a certain individual won a lot of money on a really tough body of water with. And so, Danny, I'm going to kind of let you tell a little bit about that gentleman, and then we'll kind of get the show started with that.
Yeah, so I guess on the 18th, Pat Schlopper was fishing over in the Sabine with the elites, and unbeknownst to us, he had purchased some bushwhacker buzzbaits from us back in 2022. So that'll just show you how durable they are. We pulled his order from back then, and he had ordered 8 bushwhackers, I think, and so he's still fishing with them. He said he's down to his last 2. But anyway, on the final day, our bushwhacker buzzbait came in clutch for his fish to secure the win on on Championship Sunday or whatever they call it over there. But on their last day, it was what sealed the deal for him to win his first blue trophy.
That is awesome. Now, I got 2 questions. Number 1, how did that make you feel personally? And number 2, did you get a little bit busy with some orders right after that?
So it's still, so we got so busy so fast, and it was one of these, like, so my day on Saturday was 6:30 in the morning. I'm awake, still laying in bed, and one of the young man who works for me messaged me, and he sent me a screenshot of an Instagram post, and he goes, "Is that a bushwhacker?" So I opened it up and zoomed in on it, and I went, "Yeah, it sure looks familiar. It looks like it come out of the shop." And it was the one, you guys can go see it. It's the one where Pat is casting the bait. You can see his rod casting and the line, and that, the bushwhacker's out in the middle of the air. And so it's 6:30 in the morning. I'm just laying there, and I went over and found the person, the videographer, and I was scrolling through the pictures, and I was like, well, that's cool, And then I started noticing all of the elite anglers on there, and I went, wait a minute. I scrolled back to that picture and zoomed in on it again, and then I went to Bassmaster to the leaderboard, and I went, holy smokes, this guy's been leading like all weekend. Like, he's in first place right now. And, I'm just kind of sitting there and, it's laying there in bed, wife's still asleep. And then I started getting text messages, and then I started getting video text messages, and they're like, you need to be on Bassmaster Live. They are like name dropping you right now. And I was like, what? So I started getting all these videos from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. We have Shopify is what we use. And on my phone, it makes that little cha-ching sound. The phone couldn't keep up with the cha-chings that were going off. And I was like, my wife wakes up, and she said, what is going on? Turn your phone down. I was like, I can't. It's notifications. I don't even know what's going on right now. So I'm trying to get over to Bassmaster Live, I'm trying to tell her what's going on, but all day long it was like that. We're just in like shock. It's just crazy because, I don't know Pat. I'd never met him before, and he didn't know me, and that was a genuine shout out to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we were just as as much shock and surprise as all of our friends and followers were. So naturally we had, we had Stetson, he's local to us and he's in the top 10. And, all of my people on one of my tournament trails that I fished, they're all messaging like, well, you better get up there and start making buzz baits. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on. I'm like so excited about the tournament. I want to, I'm like, want to watch. And so, they're all like, I hope Stetson does really good. And I'm like, well, I figure you guys know exactly who I'm rooting for right now.
That's right. That's right.
So
it
was crazy day on Sunday. And then the aftermath that ensued after that was it's been pretty wild around here.
I think that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I know since you were on last, of course, I wasn't here. Tim did that show. But the guys y'all have these, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they love them.
Yep.
They absolutely talk. And, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass just because you're on the show with me, but like, that's all I hear is about your Buzzbait. Which one did you get?
I like the Wee Whacker.
You like the Wee Whacker?
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes this one here, this little guy right here. This the little dude.
I'm like, it's a what? And he goes, a Wee Whacker and all that. But that's got to be a really cool experience. Not a lot of people, get the experience. Got a couple of questions in the comments. Are you able to see them now?
I can't see any of them. I don't know.
So I'll walk you through it. Trey Crenshaw, I'm going to get to your question here in a second. Jim Wright wants to know, had the orders slowed down much? Because he wants to order, but you're probably really busy. He saw on your TikTok and he saw all the orders. So how are you right now as far as being caught up with the orders?
Okay, well, so what happened was, all of the shock and awe that was going on, Sunday into Monday, and then Tuesday, we got into Tuesday afternoon, and that's when it started checking with us what was going on. It kind of started setting in. And we immediately we ordered more wire on Monday. So we still have 130 orders left over from, we had to shut the bushwhackers off. The bushwhackers, the M1s, we had to shut them off. So right now, we uploaded, we put an app and everything onto our website so you can get notified when all of them coming back in stock. So we were trying to get them back in stock tomorrow, but that's not going to happen. So we're looking at Monday for them to hit the shelf. But to anybody's question for, it will ramp back up. We're kind of preparing for a second wave of this. Right. But we're basically going to do drops like they do on swim baits. And I hate to do that, but there's only 3 of us here. And I don't want a situation because we pride ourselves on getting people's orders. I mean, Tim's back here packing orders right now because the orders that are coming in that we can fill, we're filling them like immediately. And that's how we do things. And that's what caught us off guard because, these buzz baits are all hand built. And if you guys have watched our social media and, or if you go over and follow us and watch our social media, like these things are built from scratch right here in Arkansas. Now we have spin cast machines and powder coat machines and all that kind of stuff. So we can do it at a higher rate, but nonetheless, they all have to be bent and we tie the tops of them by hand and, and we have to wait for epoxy to, so it's a process. So what we're going to do is basically do drops of like 1,000 of this one, 500 of this one, whatever, so that way when the order comes in, we shove it out the door. There's no delay, and then we'll reassess the situation. We'll make another drop, shove them out the door, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been an educational experience for the business. That's
yes. I was going to say, welcome to the world of the small batch. I guess that's what I like to call it, small batch bait makers.
Yep.
But just like you said, you had no idea what was going on. All of a sudden you woke up that cha-ching, 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 which is absolutely fantastic for you. But then you got we got to make these things. And it's
my wife and my brother called me and they're all like, man, that's awesome. I was like, yeah, somebody's got to make these and ship them out.
100%. Cranking and Yanking, our buddy from up north, Bushwhacker was his nickname in high school. Good Lord, Cranking and Yanking. I don't know about that, but Kevin Thornton's in the house. Hey, Father Time, we appreciate you, buddy. I miss you. I'm going to come see you soon.
Yep.
let's see, everyone saw Buzzbaits and Topwater, and that intrigued me. Mid-Tennessee angling. We're going to talk about it. And let's go ahead and knock out Trey's question real quick, and then we'll get back on the Buzzbait. And Danny, if you know some of the answers to this, you chime in as well.
Okay.
I don't know that you fish Lake Lanier that much, but he says, you guys ever had any luck fishing a frog on Lanier? I've never tried it, but picked up a couple of spros today and may try it this weekend. I don't fish a frog on Lanier that much, but I know guys that do. They have a lot of luck with it around docks and around blowdowns, because we don't have all the grass that a lot of lakes, the lily pads and stuff like that. But the ones that throw it, that's what they're targeting. Have any of you guys, have you thrown a frog on Lanier?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, talk about it. He goes,
I fish it like the spinnerbait at night. I
scoot
throw
that
it.
way. I want to
I throw it up onto the bank and bounce it into the water next to a blowdown, or around a dock that's got a lot of trees around it and stuff like that.
Same thing. So kind of what I was saying.
And I won't throw it if I don't hear frogs.
If you don't hear frogs?
No, if I don't hear frogs, I'm not going to throw a frog.
We actually find them out, and we'll throw a frog out there when they're schooling.
Yes, I know guys that do that.
Yeah, because you can find some of these frogs that set down in the water, and if you're out in open water and you open those hooks up on it, it's because most people are throwing, walking baits and stuff like that. You throw something out there like that, I mean, a big one's going to come up there and grab it.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's just something different. But I didn't know frogs had to have grass to be in the lake, so I would throw it. Yeah, if it feels froggy, or if you hear the frogs chirping,
that makes sense. but a lot of people, like, they got to go to Gunnersville or Chick or a lake that's got the stuff. And I believe when it was Rob Jordan was on, he throws frogs on Lanier. If you remember, I said, what color? He said black. And if that don't work, I throw black. And if that don't work, I throw black. But he does throw frogs on Lanier. So, yeah. But you mentioned about bending the hooks out a little bit. We kind of didn't we talk about that before the show?
Yeah.
Because you were talking about a frog.
Yeah, the spro, and I also boil them.
You boil them.
It softens them up a little bit.
Yeah.
A popping frog does a great job imitating a bluegill, not just a frog. So if you're in the back of the cove and you can see the bluegill beds or see them on your side scan, popping frog does a great.
Makes sense. Okay. So Trey, go throw it. That's the way to do it. Now we do have a correction from Cranking and Yanking. It wasn't Bushwhacker, it was Wee Whacker. So there you go. So hey, we appreciate you being honest there, bud. Like that. Now, when we talk topwater down here, lots of times we're always talking about offshore topwater over brush piles. We don't spend near enough time talking about buzz baits up shallow, at least not on this program. We don't talk about it near enough. Now, you're in Arkansas.
Correct.
So, and I imagine you probably throw your product a good bit, or I would hope so if you're not working it. So give me some buzz bait tips for somebody that's, just getting into it, wants to know a little bit about it. Do you work it a certain way? What are you doing and what are you looking for?
Well, I wouldn't know where to start. Start with a rod and reel and line. We throw 7 foot heavy medium fast. I throw a 7 foot medium head extra fast as well. And as far as buzz baits go, we like to. I like the Clacker, and I like I've got a few other ones that I like. I actually throw other buzz baits than mine just because they're unique. But read the fish when you're fishing that buzz bait. First off, when you're, if you haven't been throwing it a lot, the best tip that I can give anybody that's throwing a buzz bait and misses a lot of fish is you're yanking it away from them. So whenever you're casting to your target, you get the bait started, start looking for your next cast. Don't even look at the bait because of the reaction time that you have from the blow up happening, you looking at it, you reacting. It has time for those fish, when this thing's coming across the water and those fish grab it and it gives them time to turn so you can get that hook into them really well. So a lot of people miss fish because they're yanking it away from them.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So there's always that pause, a lot of, just like fishing a frog or fishing a popar or something like that. You can see that blow up, and if it doesn't, if they don't pull it down, because they'll come back for it if they didn't get it.
Okay.
And then so you look for your blades, real true buzzbait fishermen that have been around for a long time run two different kinds, or two different direction blades. And you'll be able to see, so all of our blades on ours are clockwise. I don't know, has Lanier got a lot of riprap or boat docks and stuff like that?
Got a ton of boat docks.
Okay, so let's just take Lanier is like Lake Hamilton. It's got a lot of boat docks and stuff. You're going to look for a right-hand turn or clockwise and a counterclockwise blade, because all buzzbaits, I don't care who makes it or what, because of the nature of the beast, they're all going to walk a little bit because it's such a big blade. It's like on your, on your boat kind of walks a little bit, because it's trying to prop on it. But that's what this one will do. So it'll try and run down one side, or if you get one going counterclockwise, it'll run the other way. So when you're running down boat docks, or now we're getting kind of, I guess, probably advanced for some people, but
bring it on.
Or riprap on rivers and stuff like that, you want one that hugs the bank or hugs the boat dock, because you want it to bang off of stuff. So look for those differences for manufacturers on the way their blades turn. So that way, and the way that we keep it straight is whatever direction the blade runs that bait, that's the side of the boat that we keep it on. So that way, when you pick it up, you're firing it down that side of the bank to run that thing down. And then read your fish. If you're fishing really fast and the fish are blowing up, if you're running a smaller blade buzzbait and you're burning it and the fish are blowing up behind it, then put a bigger blade on and slow it down, because big blades are going to slow down a considerable amount, or change your trailer on there. Because that way the fish. So the best, I don't know if I heard it here. I heard it on somebody's podcast, and they said fish don't miss. There's a reason why. And they're just like, what do you mean fish don't miss? And it was like, well, if you were taking a cheeseburger and putting it in your mouth, are you going to miss your mouth? No. The only reason why you would miss your mouth is because something caught your eye in there and told you not to put it in your mouth.
That's
so
right.
It's the same way with fish. There's something about the bait that's throwing them off a little bit. Either they've seen too many black ones, they've seen too many white ones. I throw some of the weirdest stuff that you can possibly imagine. The weirder the color, the better to start off with, because chances are, Alex isn't throwing it, Danny's not throwing it, Tim's not throwing it. I'm throwing something odd, and especially in clear water.
That makes sense. Okay, give me an example of something odd.
Tree frog, Zoom tree frog.
So you like a frog?
It's a color called tree frog. It's got kind of a raspberry top on it and a chartreuse belly on it. Not a lot of people throw that, so it's something that's odd. We have solid yellow frogs that we throw it around boat docks and stuff like that. So it's just something out of the ordinary, because you're burning a buzzbait. And I don't throw the A blade, which is the big blade, that much. As the season's progressing and these fish are getting way out of post spawn and they're getting into their summer patterns, I'll start throwing the C blade a lot, and especially on the pro version, because like most frogs weigh about a ½ ounce, and then you put them on, this bait, the whole bait weighs 1 ounce. So a little C blade, you've got to crank on it to get it to go. So you're burning this bait. Right. It is pure reaction for these. They think it's something scurrying away from them, and either they're not going to follow it. They're either just going to let it go, or they're fixing to demolish it. And that's why I throw something weird on there, because that's even more of an enticing, something. You're bringing it past a boat dock, and there's a lot of stuff hanging off a boat dock, and all of a sudden this yellow bait comes ripping past them. I mean, I would eat it.
I get it. Andrew Blair, apparently he knows you pretty well, because he says Tim's in the back pretending to work. And then his next comment is, he goes, "You are odd, Danny. It's okay. We know." So is that Tim back there in the blue shirt?
Yeah, Tim back there. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Tim, we appreciate all the hard work you do, and we understand who's doing the work there. Right.
Yeah.
There. So, We get it right there. So we appreciate that. Let's see. Mask off fishing. What's the best trailer to get the M1s to ride upright?
So we've been running horny toads on there, and we've been running horny toads and the BF toads from American Bait Works. Those are the two that I've been running on there. The A blade is like, that's pretty much the two that we suggest for everybody on there, because the bait is heavy enough to accommodate for that blade, because the blade's so heavy and has so much torque on it coming through the water. You know, when you're talking about Buzzbaits, you're talking about, you think it's just a bait with a prop on it. The bait has a lot of torque on it. I mean, take for instance, when we used to run, your old 150 or 200 horse outboards that had cable steering on it, and you go to take off, you don't have it trimmed just right. That steering wheel's about to just try and crank the whole boat over. Well, if the Buzzbait's not in tune right, that's basically what's about to happen. The bait's going to try and ride out of whack. And I don't care whose Buzzbait it is, it's going to do it. So you've got to, match the right trailer to it and the right speed. We had a guy that called us on the bushwhackers, and they kept laying over on him. And I'm like, well, it's got to be straight in tune. He sent me pictures and it was straight. And I said, are you burning it? He said, oh yeah, man, I'm covering water with the thing. And I was like, well, that's your problem. You need a C blade, because the A blade wants to roll. As soon as some of those blades get on top of the water, that's as fast as that bait needs to move. And a lot of people crank on them too hard. If you want to burn something, get the weed whacker. That thing has zero cares in the world what you do to it.
See, you know what? I don't think a lot of people really think about that, the size of the blades and all that.
Yep.
So I guess the C blade being the smaller, A blade being the bigger and all that. What's your opinion on plastic blades? All these clear plastic blades.
So they're quiet, and a stealthy approach is good. And if the 4-blade plastic blades, those things crawl across the water. So that is a great early season buzzbait. I'm not saying that, it's because of the speed of it, because those fish are still kind of lethargic. They're one to eat and stuff like that. But, that's real early. I mean, I've got some 4-blades stuff in here, but it's really quiet. Got that little stealthy approach to it because it's not metal on metal, squeaking or squealing or anything like that. And then as the season progresses, these fish, their metabolism gets better and more aggressive, then the faster baits and the louder and more aggressive baits start to come into play.
Okay, I was giving him our question of the night. I was pulling it from things that are being said and all that. So anyway, Andrew Blair owns Tactical Fishing. He says we know each other very well, and the we. And I thought so. And the we is his juice.
Yep. You get that the weed whacker, put the Tactical Fishing Company MRE on there.
Yes, sir.
Have yourself an MRE, and you can't keep them off of it.
Yep.
MRE?
MRE.
Like
you got the weed whacker and the MRE.
I get that. Are you trying to gain some brownie points here with a little social saying and all that?
Andrew came up with that.
Is that his words right there? The MRE. So Walton Doyle going to chase some shoal bass with some weed whackers next weekend.
Yeah.
And that's
so.
I'm
gonna, because we've introduced, and it's weird. This is weird for me to say this. We've introduced a lot of people to buzzbait fishing that have never done it before. It is something you have to educate yourself on, because you can't just go out and throw. Some baits don't like this, some baits don't like that, some baits love this on the trailer and stuff like that. So you got to go out and see, what works best for you. Don't give up on the bait. Learn about it. We're bait tinkers. I mean, we have baits where, I've always been, where, we get a bait, I'll take it apart, or I'll try and figure out why this thing catches fish. Why does it run like it does? And I learned everything about, said, baits that we have. So, that's half the excitement right there. And then the other half's catching the fish with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have gone recently. I'm a buzzbait guy. I'd much rather throw that than anything. But you get your Chopos and your things like that, and it's just simpler. They just throw it. And I think the buzzbait is now coming back in vogue a little bit,
Yeah.
Those were the hot baits, and people still throw them. I think it's the worst bait ever invented, but that's just me.
I mean, if you look at it, you're like, why would a fish even eat that?
I know for sure. Kevin Underwood with Lipstick or Fish and said, "What's up, guys? I ordered some of these. I like them. Going to have to order some more soon." And that's high praise from Kevin, because he's one of the best guys on Lake Lanier, especially in the guide part of it. And so if he says your bait's good, just coming from Kevin, I can tell you right now,
thank you, Kevin. Praise. Thank you.
He's probably hitting you up for a sponsorship too and all that. I'm just kidding, Kevin.
Well, we're working on a new one right now anyway. So
there you go. Cranking and Yanking says, if you have twin props, one CW and one CCW, would it equal out the list of the lure? And he might be meaning lift. Do you know what that?
So they make double prop buzz baits where one turns one way and one turns the other way, and they do equalize each other out. Yeah, they do equal, but it's a smaller. It's what they call a D blade. It's a D blade, so it's nice. It's real thin. It's a real thin blade. Still got the same premise about it, on the back side of the blade, but half the blade's gone. So that way, those two baits can be, spaced apart and put on a buzzbait together. So, and there's a lot of inline buzzbaits that use that. I've seen, I really truthfully don't want to mess with them because that looks like a lot of work, but
he's honest.
But just like double prop ones that have the two up here on top.
Yeah.
Anybody that calls me and asks for one, I direct them to one company, and they make probably one of the best ones. And I don't care I'll send him business all day for those, because I do not want to mess with them.
I totally understand. I've learned something now from Cranking and Yanking. So I appreciate everybody teaching me things. List is tilting in the water. Did you know that?
Yeah. So the bait listing to the side, like a boat.
Stuff for me.
Yeah. So so listing in the water also is, the bait's out of tune, or it's being reeled too fast, or there's something out of whack. If your frog's rolled on it, or your trailer's twisted on it, and it causes that water to twist over that bait. Well, naturally, it's like a corkscrew. It's going to try and throw everything out of whack. And really and truthfully, I mean, I've caught myself doing it too. Like, something's wrong with this bait, but I see it right when it's getting to the boat, and you're typically fixing to pick the bait up. So you're when it's coming straight at you, and then right when you go to pick it up, you're turning the bait. Well, you're turning it, so it's going to list up to the side a little bit as you're turning the bait to pick it up out of the water. So I think a lot of people see that and they think their bait is running crooked, and it's actually not running crooked.
I got you.
So yeah, you'll see it next time you're throwing it. You'll look down and see you picking the bait up. You're like, well, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, damn thing's listing. This damn buzzbait's listing. Everybody's been looking around like, what? It's listing, dude. I'm telling you, it's listing.
Yeah.
What Danny said.
And over on the Brazalo TikTok page, he drops a lot of good videos about tuning and tinkering with your blades and stuff like that.
That was
that was good information.
Yeah.
So on your buzzbaits,
thank you, Anthony.
we'll go ahead. So on our buzzbaits right here, we want to make sure that everything's as straight as it can be. This one's kicked up a little bit, so we're just going to take and just kind of. And you don't have to bend them hard. You can just bend them down just a little bit right here. Get that thing where it's all nice and straight across here. And then the next, you want to make sure that your wire here on the blade, you want to make sure it's all in line with the hook and everything. So that way, it's just like tuning a spinner bait on that. Now this bait right here is going to run to the left because it's a clockwise blade. Now, if you want it to run a little more to the left, you can actually take this blade right here and torque it over to the side a little bit. You can tune these just a little bit where it's out of kilter a little, and this bait will actually walk a little bit harder off to the side. So if you're trying to fish around stumps and laydowns and boat docks and stuff, and you really want that bait to crash really hard into that dock, you can actually tune these baits a little bit, or if you have it lifting on one side, you can tweak it to go to the other side, and it'll help make that bait keel down a little bit.
I absolutely love this podcast. Like, the reason I do this podcast is because I don't know these things. And so I'm learning with the viewers at the same time. Yep. It's listening and how to, because my problem with the buzzbait is this. I'll catch a good fish on it. I can never get the damn things tuned right from there on out. I have the hardest time getting them tuned back right. And sometimes I think with a lot of guys, that's the frustrating part about a buzzbait. They know it catches fish. They know it catches big fish, but it's like, and it might not be with your brand, but with some brands out there, it's like one fish and you're done. It's almost like a Yamamoto Senko, and it is tough. What gauge wire are you using on your?
So on the bushwhacker, on the weed whacker, we use a 35 wire, because of weight constraints on that bait to make sure it runs properly. We wanted to do a heavier wire on there, but what we did instead is right here, you can see where this bead, there's a sleeve right here that goes down into the head. So it actually helps strengthen this bait right there where it would naturally bend right in here. So it has a little sleeve that acts like a spacer. And you'll get a better view of this in just a second. So 35 wire on this. The bushwhacker has a 45 wire on it. So the 45 wire is much easier to put back in tune. And we use a stainless spring wire on this. We actually have this wire is custom made. That's why we're waiting on wire. Yeah. Tim just let me know that it'll be here in the morning. It's already scheduled for delivery. So, but the 45 wire is easier to put back in tune. But with the spring wire, this will sound off, but little fish knock this bait all out of whack because there's so much more. They're flailing around everywhere. So they'll actually torque this bait really bad. So when they do that, you just got to put it back in tune. Whereas bigger fish get the whole bait. Bigger fish get the whole bait in their mouth, and they've got it all the way up to here, and this thing's down in their crunchers, so they don't torque it out real bad. Now the M1, which is our new buzzbait, is our brand new one that we launched out. Uses the same Pro Elite head. We made an adjustment up here on the top of it to accommodate for this sleeve right here on top. See the sleeve here? So this sleeve runs all the way down in here to the hook connection, where the hook and the wire connect right here. So it strengthens this bait right here, where if you guys can see me trying to bend this, see how it stays straight right there at the head? Yeah. So we built this dude right here to come through the nastiest of the nasty, but it runs a 51 thousandths wire on here. So when this thing gets out of whack, you got to wrench on it a little bit to get it back in tune a little. So that's one reason why with the bushwhacker went with the 45 wire. We actually have another reason why, but I want to let that out why we did it.
Industry secrets?
Well, there's a, yeah, I guess. I mean,
I get it.
We actually had somebody that was making knockoff bushwhackers, like literal right down to the wire. I mean, I already talked to the guy and I haven't seen any posts. I'm sure he's still making them, but I was kind of chuckling because of the wire he was using on there. And I was like, well, them customers are going to be, I can be happy with that after a while. So but yeah, we special order a wire from a large wire manufacturer, and I just got off the phone with a guy before I got on here, and he was like, when do they come back in stock? I'll drive over and pick them up. He was like, it's the first buzzbait I've ever had like that he's caught anywhere between 40 and 50 fish on it before it gave up the ghost. And he was like, dude, that's freaking crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah. The weed whacker is just as strong. Last year when we launched it, we sold a metric ton of those things. I had a guy call me from like North Dakota or something like that. It was like he said, well, I catch 4 or 5 smallmouth on that thing and it's toast. And I was like, oh, and I started crawfishing, I was like, well, we wanted to put a bigger wire in it, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, oh, no, sir, you misunderstood me. These are 6-pound smallmouth.
Yes. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Yeah, I get it.
I was like, oh, he goes, have you ever seen a 6-pound smallmouth eat that thing? And I went, We don't have smallmouth that big around here.
Right. Yeah. And we don't have them that big around here either. I'd love to. Now, John, when he pulled up that last one, talking about the heavy gauge wire, you went,
Yeah, them one. I'm liking that one. Yeah.
Because he fishes a lot of junk.
Yeah. A lot of heavy reed, heavy grass.
Yeah. So this is the guy right here, like matted hydrilla, lily pads, all that stuff. So this actually, so the Bushwhacker has a 4/0 hook in it. This one has a 5/0 hook in it. And so I won't, there's a big YouTube guy that's got some of them and hollered at me. He was like, dude, that's what he goes, do we threw 22 pounds down on the bench on the table? And I said, yeah. He goes, I never adjusted that buzzbait.
That's kind of I need. That's what I need.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Let me hit Michelle Rice's question real quick. Do you have any recommendations on a place to stay at Lanier for a fisherman? Any good resorts that are fishing camp type? Not that I'm aware of. We do not. I think around here, an Airbnb would be about your best bet. There are plenty of those, and then you got some decent hotels and all that. But as far as the fish camps, you're not going to find that on Lanier unless you guys know of it.
There's a decent campground.
Well, it's campgrounds, but yeah.
That'll put you in a good area, Baldridge Campground.
Yeah, we got plenty of campgrounds if they're open.
Yeah,
better check your Army Corps of Engineer website for those that are open and closed. But as far as camp styles, no. But yeah, you can. There are some campgrounds.
Get you an Airbnb and book a trip with lip sticker.
There you go.
Boy, you are on it tonight.
Ooh, man.
Listen, this guy right here is a walking, talking advertisement, man. I'm telling you what.
So is Alex always like that? Is Alex always like this?
Yes, he is. Yes,
okay, well, I was just gonna say, I mean, because if we start like hitting him up for some advertisement for us, I don't want him to like only be on camera doing it. You know, you got to do it behind the scenes too.
He does it. He does it. He does it. I would say this: I wouldn't recommend him if he wasn't worth his, worth his weight right there. But you only weigh.
Oh, he does. He plugs a good friend of ours pretty good. He plugs a good friend of ours out there pretty good.
He does. He's good. And I even let him get out free shout outs sometimes too. He'll just have he brought in some beef jerky one time. Yeah. And I said, that stuff's good. Shout him out. So he does a good job. You got any questions for about these Buzzbaits? Well, I got you.
No, not right now.
Not right now.
He knows all about them. He knows all about
it. He does. What about you, Tony?
So I'm going to ask a question for the general public here. I got my cameras off, I guess.
Yeah, my bad.
That's okay. But so tell us why you decided to go with a drop on a buzzbait. And I'm asking that.
Well, so the Bushwhacker is a mishmash of a lot of baits that I like. And there was a lot of baits that we fished and that we've had for a long time. Some of them, and all of them are discontinued now. So all of the baits and there's a long line of how the Bushwhacker got to be, but the drop on it, I always liked fishing the Cavatron buzzbait because I felt like I got a better hookup ratio with it. Because we fished around pads and, we fished Lake Millwood a lot and Wright Patman and stuff. And I always felt like that bait got bit a little bit better than most, or the hookup ratio was like. So whenever, we were building a buzzbait, there was another bait that had a similar setup to the Bushwhacker, and it wasn't even a buzzbait. It was just a bait similar to this right here. So I incorporated that bait to give me my drop because the bait that we were using, had no weed guard on it, and it came through cover so crazy. Like you could bring it through grass, and it was just a jig that was built like that. And I thought, I want to put that in that buzzbait. I wonder if that would work. So I put it into the buzzbait. Now, if you were to see, I'll have to dig out some old ones for some TikTok videos or Facebook or something like that. Some of the drops that we started with were absolutely crazy. We had some that we built with such a drop on them that you would have never been able, most people wouldn't have been able to fish them because they'd have got hung up all the time, but you never even saw the fish hit the bait. Like there wasn't even a boil on the water. It would just, it's just clacking across the water, and all of a sudden it's just
stops.
Just stops.
Stop. It just stops, and And I gave one to a friend of mine out here. He went out to go fish a tournament on the Arkansas River, and like 12 pounds was kind of the deal out there. It's 12 and a half pounds. He calls me up. He's like, yeah, I threw 18 on him today on that bait. And I went, what? He's like, yeah, everybody wanted to know what I have. I cut it off before they could see it. I was like, well, and we had a lot of trouble with it getting hung up. It was, it'd get hung up on everything. So the drop started getting shorter. And then I noticed the, obviously tinkering with baits. Well, I noticed that the way that jig was set up, it had a wire that matched the top right across here. So, there was nothing, the 5/0 hook stood up too high and the 3/0 was too low, all that kind of stuff. So this right here is almost exactly the same as a 4/0 hook opening right here. Mm-hmm. So when this bait's coming through cover and you bring it over a piece of wood, it'll kick that thing up. So it'll kick that bait up like that, and then it'll come right over the top of it. So the downfall to the bushwhacker is grass. It doesn't like grass because obviously it's down in the water. So, and then so the clacker part of it. So the Buzzbait originally didn't have a clacker on it. There was a company, it was some guys that were building this Buzzbait in a shed, basically like I started. And these guys weren't worried about how a bait looked or anything. They didn't care what anybody thought about it. It was a bait that caught fish. And I've still got them. I've still got some. But the original bushwhacker was supposed to have a glass bead on it, a red glass bead on it, because that's what these Buzzbaits were set up with. And they were really cool. They were a small blade Buzzbait and had this big red bead on there. And the glass bead made the most unique sound out on the water, and we fished with them. So I built some with it, all set up just right, like the bushwhacker set up right now. I put the glass beads on it. I bought them from one company, and they were really expensive. And we were out fishing with them, and it was absolutely bonkers because of how loud this thing was, and had this weird chattering sound coming across the water. And I was like, all right, that's what we're going with. It's going to be set up just like this right here. And I got I ordered 2,000 beads from a company. Now, mind you, back then in 2019, 2,000 beads to me from one company was a lot because I was used to buying stuff in 10s or 20s. We made up 1,000 of these Buzzbaits, getting them ready to fire them out and take them to a trade show. And I was giving them to some really close friends of mine, and some of those never made it to the water because the beads all split in two. Just from the ride over to the lake, or a little ride across the lake. So we had to stop right then. We cut 1,000 Buzzbaits in half and threw them all in the trash. Just got the hooks out of them, and any other components that we could take off of it. We got components off of it, and we literally shut it down. I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do now.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So we had a lot of, I actually have a Buzzbait. I actually have a bushwhacker that's built with a interesting lure part. And I took it down here to the Arkansas River. Part. Yes. I won't give what it was.
Lure part.
Right. And the people I took it down to a boat ramp, and there were some people out there fishing. And when I started casting and reeling this thing back, they jumped back and started coming over there and they thought I was shooting a gun down there. And it was so loud. I was like, that's cool, but I ain't too sure how that would go.
That might be too loud.
It was really loud. It was underneath the bridge too. It was like,
got the echo and all that.
So there was a reason I asked the question about the drop. Yeah. It's because Andrew Blair, who was in here a little while, I don't know if he's still in here or not, shared a video about somebody trying to be ugly. We won't name any names or anything. Yeah. And I wanted Danny to tell us that not all Buzzbaits are for the same purpose. You know what I'm saying? They're different techniques and different styles you can fish Buzzbait. So just because one's dropped down or one's on top.
So I'll tell you, like most Buzzbaits, most all Buzzbaits are straight. Let me get one from back here. Bear with me right quick.
All right. While you're doing that, Nutsky, first FNGO live, been listening on Spotify for months. Well, buddy, we appreciate you joining us. Awesome. Where are you from, Nutsky? And how in the world did you get that screen name right there? All right, he's back. He's back.
Okay, let's talk about Buzzbaits in their all natural form. This is it right here. Skirt, blade, straight wire, all that kind of stuff right here. Okay. And this is no different than, and then, so we'll talk about this. So this runs just like this on the water. Okay. Just drops down a little bit because your water line is going to be like right in here on this. So it's dropped down just below the water a little bit. It's worked for years and years and years and years. So when I talk about having a better hookup ratio with a Cavatron is dropped. So when we start going into clacking style buzzbaits, the first one that you're going to think about is going to be something like a Boogerman or a Hydrilla Gorilla or something like that. Little short, little small, compact head clacking buzzbait. So the blade on a head clacker has to be moved back here. So it basically shortens the bait up and the blade hits the head right here. Now I want you to look where my finger is, where the blade would be hitting, and I want you to see where the hook point is. And that's a 5/0 hook in there. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we fished these baits for a long time through pads and stuff, and you get these really huge blow-ups and a little hookup ratio. Now there's companies out there that make baits like that are longer and have a really good hook gap on them right here. And your hookup ratio is much better than that. But, you know, this just like our M1. We built our M1 like that off of a regular standard buzzbait frame. Now, you're only going to get, you know, this is how much, you know, you're going to get in there. Plus, the fish has to break the top of the water for that. And not all fish, especially really big fish, don't tend to want to break the surface of the water. There's this whole, we could go into a whole discussion about the raptor effect with these fish not wanting to give up their location because of eagles and ospreys and yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. Now, when you come in with the bushwhacker, this bait is dropped down. So it sets the bait lower in the water, and it doesn't matter what bait it is, if it's a frog or a Z-Craw or a swim bait or whatever, it sets the bait lower. So the fish is more apt to, I feel like the fish is more apt to eat something that's further into the water. You can go back and watch Pat's videos on Sunday where he was fishing. Go watch every single fish that he caught. All there was a boil on the water. The surface was barely broken because these fish are able to get up there and just grab the bait without breaking the surface of the water like they're going to have to with something like this. So with that, they're going to be more susceptible to getting that hook. You can see how much further they can get this hook in their mouth right here versus something that they are going to have to blow up on the surface and grab, and they're probably going to miss it. So that's where I feel like the bushwhacker shines in dock situations, open water situations, you know, and stuff like that, because these fish don't have to bust the surface on it.
That was the perfect response I have ever heard.
I'm sorry, like I am getting my ass educated,
dude. I mean, that was absolutely
well. You know, I mean, tell me how many more companies you see out there. There's a company that launched a buzzbait last year with a drop on it, has a very big name angler behind it because he has confidence that the drop gets a higher hookup ratio and gets deeper hook sets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you see Andrew Blair's comment? Is it the thing you sent me on the mag? Is that the mag whacker that you were talking about, Tony? Is that the video or
no?
I know a video. We know what video you're talking about.
Andrew was just calling the guy out for making an ugly comment or making a video.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
People.
Yeah, whatever. Let's go.
Yeah, listen.
I just wanted to give Danny the opportunity to tell us in this.
Well, that's why you know it
in the scientific way you could probably ever explain a buzzbait. He did a freaking fantastic job on that. That was awesome.
Yeah,
you know, to me, I mean, obviously to me, my buzzbaits are the best, because I built them. So, but they're not for everybody. You know, our buzzbait, you may buy it and you might not like it. You might not like the way it runs. You might not like the way it comes through cover or even the way it sounds. And that's totally fine with me because, you know, there's so many other options out there. You know, we're just a little piece of the puzzle out there for bass fishing. So today you may go out and fish our buzzbait and it might not work. Whereas you go out and fish a lunker lure and it works perfectly. But guess what? Tomorrow my buzzbait might work and the lunker lure might not. So I like variety. So I've got all kinds of buzzbaits. I love it. I've got them. I've got Japanese buzzbaits. I've got buzzbaits that are older, probably as old as me. I've got, we tweak them all. We do all kinds of stuff to them. And, I remember my ex-wife used to get mad at me because I'd sit there at the kitchen table and would have a drill out, drilling these things out and filing on them and all kinds of stuff just to make something different.
Yeah. I like that. I was going to bring the marriage aspect into it because some days the fishing is like marriage. Some days they love you, and the next day they just want to stab you in the back. That's the way it is, and it's just like that. The buzzbait works one day.
They were biting.
Huh?
I thought you were going to say some days they were biting and some days they weren't. I didn't know.
That's exactly the same thing. Some days they bite, some days they don't. Speaking of you're talking about. You have other brands that you kind of use. Pull up Crankin' and Yankins because I've never heard of this, and maybe you have. Have you ever heard of a kitchen sink? I saw a guy throwing one and was catching a lot of fish with it, but the blade was not a normal buzz blade. It was oddly shaped. Kind of like a buzz bait. Oh, hang on, I got one.
There is under the shelf there, the middle shelf there. There's a box that's got a whole bunch of buzz bait. I got one to show you guys. I got a crazy one to show you guys.
Absolutely.
Bear with me. I got to go in here and find it. I don't think Tim knows where it's at. Hang on just a second. I'll be right back.
Hey, I tell you what, we're going to do our question of the night while he's gone.
All right.
Let's do that. Perfect. So let's pull up our buddies over at Serve IT.
Give me 1 second.
I threw that on you pretty quick. Right. Guys, listen, if you got a company big or small and you're looking for a 100% all in-house IT managed solution, Serve IT is the company for you, located in Kennesaw, Georgia, all American based. One of the best customer service experiences you're ever going to have, and their process from start to finish is absolutely amazing. They've got it plastered all over their wall down there. I walked through their facility and everything, and so they absolutely live by the code. And I'm telling you what, it doesn't matter how little your company is or how big it is, Serve IT can manage your solutions. And if you're looking for a career in the IT business, go to serveit.com. Check them out there as well. So here's the question of the night. I'm going to give you a first person that answers it right. I'm going to send you some Softy Lure 6.25 meat getters. They're green pumpkin, green flakes, especially if you live on a Highland Reservoir Lake, Allatoona, Lanier, Carter's, Blue Ridge, any of them up there, or if you're one of our fans that watch from out of state, I'm telling you, for Clearwater, this is an amazing color. And the cool thing about Softy worms is they float. Put them on a drop shot, they are going to stay like this. Put them on a shaky head, they're going to help pull it up a little bit. But Tony, I sent the question back there to you.
I know it.
First person, I'm gonna let you read it because hell, I done forgot it, but I know what it was about. So Tony's got the question. Andy Miller has the question not first. He says, "Will Danny put down the wacky rig for a few tosses of a buzz bait?" The answer to that question is yes. So I win the prize. I got you. Thank you for that. Appreciate you guys playing. No, first person in the comment section that answers this question, and it should be quick if you guys have been paying attention tonight. I will send this to you, and then we'll get back to the questions. And we'll start with Zach Hahn. He'll be the next question after Danny shows us his funky buzz bait. So go ahead, Tony.
All right. Question of the night. I'm going to read it 2 times. Who owns Tactical Fishing Company? Who owns Tactical Fishing Company?
Who owns Tactical Fishing Company?
Can I answer?
No, hell no, you can't answer. No.
It's a woman that owns it.
Oh.
Oh, is that true? Is that true? Hell, I was just going by the comments.
Well, the guy who pours all the baits, the guy who pours the bait is married. She owns everything. So
yeah. Darian got it, but I tell you what, Darian, I think you just won the other night. I'm gonna send it to Zach. Is that okay with you, Darian? Because you win a lot. But he pays attention.
He does pay attention.
You know what? I tell you what, I'm gonna send it to both of you.
All right, both.
So I got Darian's address. Lord knows I do got that. Zach Hahn on Facebook. Send me your address via messenger to Danny Pruitt. Darian, I'm gonna send you one anyway. No, it's not Randy B. Nutsky like that. It's not that. All right, show us this buzz bait. I appreciate you guys playing.
So I'm going to show you. I actually picked a few out that we tinker with, and I'm going to go blast from the past on a couple of these. But let me just show you some of these that we've tinkered with. These old Clacker style buzz baits here. See how we've bent these old Clackers, cut them off, and drilled these blades out on this to give it a different sound on these. This is just a booyah buzz bait with these Clackers on it and stuff. So this is something I've had for a long time. How many of y'all remember these Buzzbaits.
Wow.
Yeah, good Lord.
Yeah.
That's like the Ron Jeremy of Buzzbaits.
You catch the fish and fizz it all at the same time.
So this was we made a few of these just to mess around with, but you guys remember Bill Dance had the Dancing Buzz.
Yep.
And it had this really long, like this is a 12-inch one right here, that a 12, would they have like a 10, 12, and a 16 or something like that, 2 or 3 different sizes of them. But the really cool premise of this Buzzbait is that, obviously the Buzzbait is too heavy for the blade to hold it all up. So naturally this blade's gonna be running on top, and this thing's gonna be running down here on the bottom like this. And they caught fish like crazy because those fish are just like, they're honed in on the blade is far enough away from the bait.
Yeah. But I'd never be able to keep that damn thing in tune. Good Lord, look at that one.
What in the world?
That looks like a bent up coke top.
It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something,
So this is called a Scuzz Buzz.
I bet it is.
Okay. Well, I know the whole story behind this thing, and there's a lot of stories. So this thing originated in Arkansas. And I have a really cool story behind it. We won't get into that. I found the original builders. I found his daughter and son-in-law. They live here in Hot Springs, but that's a crazy story. But anyway, I bought a bunch of these Buzzbaits at my local tackle shop down in Texarkana, Texas. And I thought, man, that thing looks really weird. I think I'm going to give it a try. Well, all of these here, all hand cut blades, they were literally taking apart. You can see the shape to it. They were taking apart lawn chairs and making these blades out of that thin aluminum, those lawn chairs. And this thing makes, see how big this thing is.
Yeah.
It makes the weirdest noise coming through the water. And I only have 2 left. The gentleman is long since passed away. His son-in-law is making some, but it's not the same. It's just not the same bait. But they built it for Lake DeGray to come through that grass. So this blade on here, the way it kicks out and stuff like that, this thing, you got to tune them and make them, anybody that has any, I can show them how to tune them up, make them run right. But this bait right here, the best way I can say it sounds like a whopper plopper that has diarrhea. Is the best way that I can give the sound explanation.
Tony, can you give us an example of that sound back there?
Yeah, that's all I can think.
But you take your rod tip and keep it up high, and the bait changes the tone. You put the rod tip down, and the bait sounds different. So it's such a unique buzzbait, and I wish they were really easy to make because I would love to put them out to the world, but obviously out of respect for the people that that have it and that the history behind it.
Yeah.
There is a guy that is making some of them, and they're okay. But yeah, so that's a really cool, it's a Scuzz Buzz. If you guys ever find any of these like original ones. So there was a partnership on these between 2 guys. One of them moved off, and I think he put a patent on it, sold the patent to Terminator. So there's actually a Terminator Buzzbait that has this blade on it. And then it didn't sell really well because obviously, look at it. I mean, are you guys going to walk into Walmart or Bass Pro and buy this thing? Probably not.
No.
So they did away with it. But really cool Buzzbait. So if you guys ever find one, pick it up. It's pretty cool.
But I bet Terminators weren't made from like a lawn chair or whatever the hell he said. You got.
I promise you, they weren't.
Yeah, and what's crazy about that is, in the true spirit of a tinkering angler or something like that, somebody looked at a lawn chair and went, "I can make something out of that." And it comes out with the buzz.
It's funny he said lawn chair because when he first showed it, I was thinking that looks like somebody was scrapping metal and said, "I think this would work." I mean, that's exactly what it was.
Hey, listen. American ingenuity.
Hey,
that's what it's all about right there. All right. First of all, we're going to get back to the questions because I said Zach had one, but your buddy Andrew wanted to know if you were talking some smack about him. Apparently he heard you were talking smack, I guess, during the question of the night.
Andrew, if I'm not talking smack, I'm asleep or dead. So, I speak fluent in sarcasm. So,
Write that one down. Fluid and sarcasm.
Fluid and sarcasm.
I need to remember that one. All right. So Zach's back to the question. Zach said, what rod and reel setup would you recommend for fishing the wheat and then for fishing the bushwhacker? And I know you kind of mentioned some rod setups earlier, but if you could go over that.
So the weed whacker, we use crankbait rods with some of them sometimes too, because, but I do recommend a 7.3 at minimum 7.3 on the weed whacker, just because you put a heavy bait on it, you want to reel it a little faster to get it up on top of the water. But I like a 7.3, and we use fluorocarbon or mono on the weed whacker. And there's a reason why. Now you can use braid on it, and I'll show you how to eliminate this issue with it. But the top of the weed whacker has a twist on it. It's a twist, kind of like a twist spinnerbait. Yep. So when this bait has braid's really limp, and it's limber. So when you're casting, if you fight a fish or something like that, it can flex, and that braid can get down in between these twists right here.
Yeah.
So what we suggest with braid is get some bobber stops, put you like 3 bobber stops on, and then tie the bait onto here. And that's what we do with like prop baits, like Topwater prop baits, like Black Label Tees or something like that, or a skipjack or something. But we do that to keep the line out of the prop.
Okay.
So that way it stays straight right here, and you don't have to worry about it twisting around there. But monofilament or fluorocarbon, I use 17-pound test. It's a little more easily manageable for me because this bait skips really well. You can go up to boat docks, and we had one pro angler was telling us about it. He goes, "Yeah, I really love it. It has one problem." I said, "What?" And he goes, "Well, when you skip it underneath the dock, it has a tendency to go all the way up on the bank." So
first world problems.
Yeah.
First world problems. So, that's that. I a lot of times on that one, I'm using a 7-foot medium heavy fast or a medium heavy moderate fast, depending on where I'm fishing. I'm fishing around rock where they're just going to go out deep. I don't want them to overpower that bait, so I just use something a little softer rod. Now, the bushwhacker and the M1, both of those are very heavy baits when you put a trailer on it. They weigh 1 ounce. So you need to.
They will surprise you. I've cast mine in some places not realizing that they were going to fly.
They're going to fly because of the weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because the weight, the way the weight is set up where it moves, the way the weight is set up, the way it moves, it actually helps this bait fly straight through the air. So some buzz baits you're going to throw, they're going to tumble through the air, kind of like a spinnerbait does sometimes, because it doesn't have a lot to it and it's catching a lot of wind. Like this one right here is probably going to tumble a little bit just because the skirt's catching wind. Well, these things don't. You cast it, it sails. If you don't have enough line on your rod, you're going to cast a whole spool out.
Oh,
so now on the bushwhacker, I like 8-to-1 or higher. Mainly because I fish the sea blade so much and I want to cover water. So when you get into that summertime situation, the big blade, a little slower reel's okay. You got more torque with it. You get a little more drag, all that kind of stuff with those reels. With the higher gear ratio reels, though, when these fish are out wolf packing, around here, it's a matter of I need 5 bites. I need 5 4-pounders or 5 3-pounders. I'm going to cover 10 miles of water for 5 fish, and I'm going to have this trolling motor set on high. So I need a reel that's going to be able to collect the line as fast as I'm going. So I recommend, plus if you're fishing some of these in around cover, you don't want those fish getting down in there and you're trying to wrench out a 1-ounce bait and a 3 or 4-pound fish. The higher gear ratio is going to help collect that line, get the fish out. So if you're looking at higher gear ratio reels, look at the drag on them, see how much, pound drag. The BB1's been good for us. The BB1 Pro, the new one. And then also Kistler, the chromium reel. I haven't had any problems out of that thing. It's lightweight. It's got, ceramic bearings on it. It's got a really good drag to it. They built it very well. So we've liked those 2 reels the most. And then, the rods, I just want something that's balanced. So, I'm not plugging, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but, the best buzzbait rod that I've found for the Bushwhacker is the Arc Tharp Series hammer. It is lightweight. I'm extremely accurate with it. Now, it might not be the best rod for all of y'all. We do fish the pulse rods. I do have some pulse rods that I really like for it as well, the AOI special and stuff like that. But with the Bushwhacker, I pretty much throw 40 or 50 pound braid on it.
Gotcha. There you go. All right, now you're our resident big fish seeker.
Okay.
Seeker like that. Going by the stuff that he's saying and all that, and knowing how you fish. I mean, similarities with what he's saying, or
yeah,
he's a kayak guy. Both of these guys beside me are kayak guys, by the way.
I'm sorry.
So
is Andrew Blair.
Anyway. Yeah,
so is Andrew Blair.
That's right. So, but,
they get Happy Meals on the way home. We get double cheeseburgers. They get Happy Meals. They need something to keep them occupied. They get the little toys in there.
Yeah, Uncrustables and Happy Meals and all that. But
there you go. I got your little vegetables that you dip in your ranch sauce.
That's
and stuff.
right. But I know the way you fish, and I know you like big baits, and
right. Typically, if they're not hitting the buzzbait, if they're not breaking the surface, or if I'm in open water, I'm going to switch over to a big weight bait.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it draws in a larger fish most of the time.
Right.
I know some people don't like treble hooks. I like the hookup ratio I'm getting with the treble hooks as opposed to a single. Obviously, I can't throw that when there is cover. So the buzzbait and a frog when I'm in the heavy grass, or if I'm in really heavy laydowns. But typically, open water, or if they're not breaking the surface, it's going to be a big weight bait like the Bullshed Bull Wake. If that's not working out, drop down to the Spro Zero Minnow.
Yeah.
They're both running maybe 6 inches subsurface.
Yeah.
So that's my go-to.
Have you experienced what he was talking about as far as fish getting it more so under the water? Because I know, like your wake baits, you're down a little bit. You think that's better?
Sometimes it's just the day. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Some days they're just crushing it and they're blowing up out of the water. Even the bigger fish don't seem to care. Some days they're coming up and they're grabbing the tail on a frog and they're not going to break the surface. So you got to do something different.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I like that. I like that answer. What about you? With night fishing and you like lights and all that, and you're in your kayak, do you ever throw a buzz bait across any of that?
I have not.
Have you? I think you need to try that.
I think I will try it.
I think you need to try that.
I really lean on the buzz, especially in the creeks and the rivers.
Makes sense.
I don't know if it's the current or the ripple that's on the water, but they will come unglued on a buzzbait in a creek. Up north, the smallmouth, the pike, in a river, you can't beat a buzzbait. Okay,
that makes total sense. Go up the comment section a little bit, because there were people in here. I want to make sure I say hello to them. Let's see. I saw somebody from Illinois watching.
Yeah, Steven Sturgeon.
Steven Sturgeon from Illinois wanted to thank you. Dave Raleigh is in Vermont, and at Cranking and Yanking, he's in Louisiana. I really love it when out-of-town guys come in here. So speaking of bushwhacking, there you go. You can go on back down to the next question and all that. Let me ask you this. Somebody, where was that question at?
Which one?
Oh, Nick Bowen. Pull that one up real quick, because he wants to know how can he get some bushwhackers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick, go to our website, BrazaloCustomLures.com. And currently the bushwhackers are going to say out of stock on it. We're waiting on wires. I got confirmation they should be delivered tomorrow. So we're going to spend all weekend pouring. We're going to finish filling orders, and we're going to start pouring and get ready for round 2 for the launch. So click the notify me button on whatever style of the bushwhacker that you want. You can go in there and click 3/8 white with a gold blade on there, and click notify me, and it will, as soon as we load that up, it will send you a notification that they're live. Now we're going to do all of our social media that we do, like, hey, there's this many. Now, Nick, I will tell you, so that we don't run into the same situation that we did last week, where I'll just tell you guys, we got almost 1,700 orders in a matter of 48 hours. So, it was, sorry. 3 of us, we got overrun with orders. So we don't want that to happen again because we want to be able to make sure that people get their orders on time. So there will be multiple drops. So if you go in and you miss it, you can call us and we'll get you fixed up. I shouldn't have said that. People blowing my phone up. If we have enough to fill an order, we will. But I'd really like for everybody to go to the website so we can keep track of it.
Don't call him. Don't call him. Don't call him. The man's
it's been wild. It's been wild. My phone is like stayed lit. I've had people call me at 9 o'clock, at night and stuff.
I bet.
And
somebody just called me a second ago, and I'm not.
Well, I had someone just try to call me just then while I was trying to talk. Yeah. But please go to the website, BrazaloCustomLures.com. Go up to the Bushwhackers, the M1s, or whatever, and click on the setup that you want and hit notify me. As soon as it gets lit up, we're going to go. With that being said, there is going to be a Bushwhacker on the website next week that nobody has seen. Most people haven't seen it ever until last Sunday on the 18th. They saw it. So Pat was fishing with a discontinued Bushwhacker Pro, the very first one that we ever built. And, we weren't going to launch it again, but I called Pat and I've talked several times, and we're going to relaunch that bait in a limited run. So that Bushwhacker will be available. I think we're going to do like 1,000 of them or something like that. But we're only going to drop them one time because we're working on something for that bait. So just for the general public, we're going to drop it once, 1,000 of them, 1,000, maybe 2,000. It just depends on how backed up we are. But
yeah,
we're going to work on that this weekend, get all the stuff set up for it, so that way you can go and get notified when it comes out. So you're going to look for the Bushwhacker. We're probably going to call it something else, just so we don't get mixed up between the Pro and the Pro Elite. Pro Elite. So the Pro, there was things like everything about it I liked, but there was one thing about it that I was okay with it, but I wanted something that was more user-friendly for the general public. So we built the Pro Elite. We changed the keeper system up on it and the head design on it, but it essentially is the exact same bait.
I think he needs to set 4 aside for 4 certain individuals that have cameras in front of them, and we might can help
I'm just going to
promote that a little bit.
So, I'm just going to say that I have to change my delivery address to Fish North Georgia because
your wife's going to get mad.
I can't justify another box showing up. I just can't do it.
When you do the drops, Danny, are you going to cap how many people can buy so that you don't get one guy going in there and buying 50 of them?
We'll look at that. But here's the deal: like we'll have wire. We ordered 50,000 wires for this run, just to have. So, when we hit a certain point, we can reorder. So, I got to give props to the guy that does our wire. We had an order of wire in it, and he hadn't gotten to it yet. I called him last Monday and I was like, he's like, "Hey, Danny, what's going on?" I was like, "Bro, you don't even want to know." He said, "Well, what can I do to make your life easier?" Well, I'm about to challenge you on that, buddy. So he has jumped through hoops for us. He has jumped through hoops for us. And I know we've run into all kinds of issues with, we had to get bumped in on a job, and that job, something happened with it. And then this, that, and the other. And then the Memorial Day weekend. And then now we've got shipping issues and all that kind of stuff. But, Mark's done an amazing job getting this stuff to us. So I just told him, I was like, "Look, man, here's what we're fixing to do. I'm fixing to order 50,000 wires. When I get to 25,000, I'll order another 25,000. We'll just keep it rolling." He was like, "Sounds like a plan to me." And I was like, if I sell 50,000 wires in the next 4 months, I'm okay. We can wait till next year because I'll probably be tired of looking at Buzzbaits.
I know the feeling. I tie jigs. I know how that feels. Going up, there was a couple of questions on up. Let's see. Cranking and Yanking wanted to know, are the heavier baits not easier for a bass to throw the lure? So when you're talking about, I guess, the the bigger spinner, the bigger buzz baits. No, I guess that's what he's talking about.
Well, I don't necessarily have as many issues with like wire baits because there's flex in it. There's flex in that, and you know, and that's where if you got one that's throwing, like you catch one or two and they're throwing it, change the rod out. Put a little more of a softer rod on them, so that way the rod's doing some of that work for you. And you know, try not to horse the fish in. I mean, you can obviously, when that fish comes up, and you want to keep the fish down like you would on a crankbait. You want to keep the fish down, but you know, it's a lot different than like a big, you know, like a big glide bait or a big wake bait or something like that, because those baits are solid. They've got a lot of surface to them, so chances are they don't have as many hooks or as many hooks deep into their, you know, deep into them, so they can throw those bigger baits a little easier. You know, they've got a little more leverage on them. Whereas with, you know, these buzz baits, I think if they get the hook good in them and you play the fish and, you know, bring them to the boat right, I don't think they're going to throw them that often. They're going to throw it. I mean, they're fish. They're trying, you know, they're being pulled in the wrong direction that they should be going, so they're going to fight. So, you know, you're going to lose some, but I don't think it's as bad as, you know, like a big glide bait or something like that.
I got you. So kind of like two questions in one. Andy Miller and Nutsky both have kind of a similar question. Andy says, what are your preferred trailer choices for each size?
So,
and Nutsky asked specifically about the best trailer for a weed whacker. So if you can kind of give a little bit of all of that. I know that's two questions right there.
Okay, so weed whacker's easy. Find something that you like that runs good for you. Preferably something with a flat back and low salt. Salt adds weight to soft plastics, and this bait is, you know, we worked on a lot of stuff on it to get the weight right on it. So heavy salt baits. Now I'm gonna go ahead and plug somebody, but Tactical Fish Co. and I built a frog called a tack toad.
Yeah.
And we built it not specifically for the weed whacker, but with the weed whacker heavily in mind. So we sell it on our website. Andrew sells it over there. Multitude of different colors. We got some really good colors over there. So something like that, a menace grub. We use Z-Craw Juniors and stuff like that. We've got stuff on our website for it. If you have any questions about it, you can give us a call and we can direct you to what baits we have on the website. We actually just loaded up some new ones that we got for the weed whackers. If you go to our website, it's under Bojangle Baits on our website, and it's called the 4.2 I don't even know what he calls it, but we put it on there. We literally just loaded it up. But what it is, it's a Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver with the, you know, both sides of it have, you know, ribs on both sides of it. Well, he took it, sliced it in half, so it's flat on one side. And it doesn't have tentacles out that kick or anything, so it's just kind of little flowy tentacles on it. And dude, you could skip that thing a country mile. And it runs really good with it. It doesn't put any salt or anything like that in it, so it runs really good. So on the weed whacker, tack toads, or one of the Bojangles, Z Daddy, or the 4.2 something, whatever it's called, for the weed whacker. D-bombs work really good too. We have some little modifications we have to make to the D-bombs, but those work really well.
Okay.
For the bushwhacker, if you get a Pro Elite, it was built for larger baits, frogs, swim baits, stuff like that. That's what it was built for. It was built so that you could slide the bait all the way over the top of the head, and it basically just shifts the hook back further on the bait because you're shifting the dirt, where the position of the bait is. So all of the bushwhackers have the exact same measurements on it. Doesn't matter if it's a half ounce, 3/8, or Pro Elite, or an A blade or C blade. They're all built exactly the same. But as you can see, this one here has a head on it. So you're only going to be able to push that bait up that far. So with the Pro Elite, run a bigger bait on it. That's my suggestion. That's why we built that bait. Now on a bushwhacker, an OG style with a head on it, put anything you want on there. I don't care. We match the blades up to the weight of the bait. You can put a Z-Craw Junior on it. You can put a horny toad. You can put a big swim bait on there. You can put a menace grub. You can put whatever you want on there. We built these baits to accommodate for a multitude of, you can actually see the head is, see how it's got a curve to it?
Yep.
We built that because most soft plastics have, you know, a soft top on them. They're not flat at the top. So that way everything butts up into it. So everything's very streamlined with any baits that you put on there. Another feature that we did on the Bushwhackers is, do you see a keeper right there? You don't see a keeper, up and down keeper like you would on most baits. The keepers are on the side. They come out to the side, just like so. Not like, let's just, I'm not dogging on anybody's baits, but just like this right here. See this?
Yeah.
On this bait. So what's going to happen with that is, like if you were to put a thin bait on something that had aggressive up and down keeper on there, the fish are going to grab it. They're going to tear the bait up. I'm trying to help the angler because we're anglers too, trying to maximize your soft plastics. So this right here, when these fish grab it, there's nothing there to tear the bait. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to tear because there is hard stuff here, but we put it on the side to grab thin baits. Grab thin baits. And it also helps stabilize the baits, keep the baits from rolling and twisting. So if you get it on there straight, if you get it on there straight, it's going to hold it on there straight. So go look at a Z-Craw and see how thin it is. Yep. Go look at a horny toad and see how thin it is after you get through the hook slot in it. So that's why we built it that way. So on your OG Bushwhackers, run whatever you want. Now when we get to the M1, M1 is an animal all in itself. So if you're fishing an A-blade M1 Pro, frogs, all the way over the head. You have to, and there's enough space here. You can push it all the way up over the top of it. And the top does have a little more bulk than a regular Bushwhacker because of this sleeve. We had to accommodate. I wanted to make sure we didn't have any issues with it coming apart. So that's why there's a little more bulk here. So find your frog, learn how to feed them on there. The hook will come out in between the legs of the bait. You will literally, the hook will come all the way out. So that's where you have to feed it. There's no stopping whatsoever. It goes all the way. And now where the M1 becomes, we're going total infomercial here. So that's where the M1 Pro starts to get, there is a forgiving side to the M1 Pro. A-blade, frogs. C-blade. I don't have any C-blades in front of me. C-blade on the Pro, you can put whatever you want to on it. You can put spunk shads on it. Just don't push it up over the head. Just push it all the way up to the head right here. We've ran Z-Craw Juniors on it. We've ran full-size Z-Craws. We've ran frogs. We've ran, you know, all the way out to the end simply because the blade doesn't have as much torque on it. So it's spinning a little more free. It's spinning a little more faster. It's churning a little more water. So it can handle a lighter bait on it. On the Pro Elite, on the M1 Pro, it can handle a little lighter bait on a C blade. That's key right there. So people will start to figure it out. And I know it's crazy. That's why I say get the bait, go out and throw it. And then when you get to the regular M1, the regular M1s are basically a 3/8 has a C blade on it and a 1/2 ounce has an A blade on it. And we don't give you an option for weight or blade. You pick blade. And we did that to match up the blade to the weight of the bait. So that way we felt comfortable knowing that most people can put whatever they want on it and it's going to run properly. So if you're a beginner, person trying to figure out buzzbaits, I'm going to suggest for you to grab something that has a smaller blade on it because it's more forgiving bait. The Weed Whacker is extremely forgiving bait. It skips so well, and I keep emphasizing on the skipping part of it. It skips so well, you'll think you're Kevin Van Dam out there flinging boat dogs, you know, or something. It's just it's so
really good for me to do that. It's got to skip real good.
So there's two things that so you either have a buzzbait that can go really fast or you have a buzzbait that goes really slow.
Yeah.
There's usually nothing. They do one or the other. The weed whacker can do both.
There you go.
And
John,
if Tony's got some, if Tony's got Tony, I think Tony and Alex have some.
Oh yeah.
If they fished them, you can put a weed whacker on the fastest possible reel that you have. It will not blow out. That thing will set up on top of the water and burn straight back to you.
Yep.
And so the weed whacker can do something that most buzz baits can't do. And that's catch schooling fish.
Yep.
There you go. So that's big on like Lanier and these lakes up here too, because they're school.
Yep.
What are you laughing at?
You gave up my juice.
Yeah.
You gave up the juice. Okay. But it makes sense.
Oh yeah. I was going to say the first time I threw it, I was amazed. I was like, that's like schooling fish. It's like schooling bait fish coming through the water because you can reel it 100 miles an hour as fast as you want to, and it was perfect the whole way.
And
so
Tony, how does the weed whacker cast?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to give you the numbers. I'll give you the numbers on the weed whacker. It's a 3/16 ounce weight on the weed whacker. Don't let that shy you away because it's made for soft plastics. Once you put a soft plastic on it, it weighs a ½ ounce. You can chunk it.
So
you can literally launch that thing.
I made the mistake when I first got it out a while back and put it on a spinning rod because I'm thinking, oh, it's a light bait. Well, first cast, I was like, okay, I got to go back. Well, I went with the bait caster, and then, like I said, it'll surprise you. You start casting it, and then you're casting a mile, and next thing you know, you're in a tree or something with it. So
I throw mine on braid too, so you already know what kind of braid I'm using.
Oh yeah, you throw it on the cast.
Yeah, you got to be careful with it.
John, I wanted to ask you this: when you do throw a buzz bait, because he's mentioned one thing I've noticed is we're not talking about skirts or anything like that. Yours seems to be set up for more of that. Do you throw like a horny toad or things like that on yours, or are you throwing a skirted buzz bait?
Normally a skirt.
A skirt.
A paddle tail. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Why?
And I'm throwing more moderate rod, but a lot of that's because I'm on a kayak and the kayak's bouncing around and it's harder to keep a rod loaded up. Mm-hmm. So throwing a medium heavy, you just got to make sure you lay into them when you set the hook because the rod's going to load deeper into the blank.
Okay.
But you keep them pinned better.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that. Pull up King. I think King of Bass had a question down there right at the bottom.
All right. Hang on.
That and right. I think it's good. All right. He wants to know how long does it take from start to finish to make one bushwhacker?
I really don't know. It's been so long since I made just one bushwhacker. So here's the life cycle of a bushwhacker. You guys can imagine this. So if I had any wire, I'd show you, but I don't have any wires. So literally we get this Z-bend is done by a machine and all of this stuff it's all tempered. So, so we try and make it as durable as possible. So it's basically got a hook in it and a Z-bend and it's a straight piece of wire. And so we pour it. If it's like this one right here, we have to paint it. We powder paint all of them. Then we have to bake them. So baking takes around 18 to 20 minutes on one of those. Well, then we load all of the beads on here. We load all the gear on this right here. And then we put the R-bend in it. And then we put the knife. And then if you'll notice, the top of it's tied. We ain't even covered that at all. Right. So the top of these are tied. We hand tie every single one of these. You can see the M1's got the same thing on the top of it. Quick, why we do that is because Clacker style buzz baits, you want it to hit that bead right there, right? So this R-bend here, every time you cast it, it flexes that bait. And eventually after 3 casts, you're re-tuning your buzz bait. So what just best analogy I can give to it is you take a coat hanger and you keep wrenching on it like this, what's going to happen to it?
Gonna break.
Eventually it breaks, yeah.
It's going to break. Yeah. Well, we took all that out. There's no stress on this wire right here whatsoever.
Because of the tie.
Because of the tie. You can chunk this bait 200 times and it will always sound like that right there. Unless you do like me and smack a boat dock with it or something, then it gets all squished up. But also what this does, when we tell people a lot of times, lighten up the rod because there's no flex right here. It takes all that power and sends it right down to the hook. So when you set the hook on this thing, it is direct. You may not be able to notice that when you're fishing with it, but we suggest a little. That's why we say medium heavy. on the rods, just so there's a little more give, because this bait has no give straight back with it. So anyway, back to the build. We got to let that cure with epoxy. We've got a special thread that we found that's really durable. And then we epoxy every single one of them, so it soaks into the thread, so it won't come apart on you. And then we got to put the bend in it. Then we put the blade on there. Every one of these is tuned before it gets packaged. So Tim and I, we hand build every single one of these. It gets that treatment. If it does not sound like that, it does not go into a bag. So, we put a lot of work into it. And that's why it takes us a while to build some of these baits. But I had a guy best said it to me. We're building legacy baits. We're building baits that people are going to remember for a long time. Yeah. So if it takes us a little longer to build the bait, then so be it. I want to be known for having something that was built quality and that, performed the way it was designed to perform. We're not just slapping some crap together. We're not getting them made in China. They're all made right here in Arkansas, start to finish. So
Steven Sturgeon's got a question. Why don't you do pre-orders?
We had talked about that. And eventually we may, like, if something ever gets to where we start overloading or something like that, we may do like a back order, pre-order kind of thing. Mm-hmm. When I say we learned a lot with everything that happened, I cannot stress how many orders came in at one time. So if I tell people we have, if I tell people right now that we're pre-ordering, I don't want to overload us again to where it's taking us a week to get somebody's order that, if somebody puts an order in on Monday, I want to try and get it out by Wednesday. Yeah. I don't want it to be the next Monday and these, and somebody's messaging me. It hurts me. It hurts my feelings. It's like we pride ourselves in being able to get customers their baits. So I don't want to run into that situation again. So we're going to do the drop. And then eventually, once we get everything streamlined, because we're still dealing with, growing pains. Yeah. We're still, we order from the same place a lot of large manufacturers order from and stuff like that. But we're learning timelines. Okay, I need 20,000 of these. Okay, 4 to 6 weeks. That doesn't work. So we're in a situation right now. So next year we won't have this problem because we know. Yeah.
So you had you said you had like 1,700 orders or 1,700 pieces that went out.
Orders.
You had 1,700. What was the average number of Buzzbaits per order? Just guess, obviously, because I know I ordered 6.
I was about to say,
I just ordered 6 just now.
You just ordered 6 just now. You're part of the problem.
About 6 to 8 Buzzbaits per. A lot of people order just one. A lot of people order just one because we're a small company and they don't know who we are. We're not. I'm not Booyah. Right. I'm not Strike King. I'm not anybody. I'm a guy in Arkansas making baits. We got a little small crew. So a lot of people, but I know once those people get their hands on it, when they drop again, boom, it's going to be 6 or 8.
So we're saying 1,700 orders.
Yes.
At an average.
Now, this is also on Tuesday. Tuesday night, we got a local radio show that I get on every now and then, and we, hack it up on there and stuff. And on my way over there, I called Tim and I was like, bro, he's like, I said, when we get up, we worked 92 hours that week. Tim and I worked 92 hours from Monday through Friday. So it was absolutely nuts. Well, we shut off Bushwhackers and M1s completely. Because I all of a sudden got this weird feeling that I was running out of wire. I didn't have enough wire, which that feeling was correct. And also at the rate that those were coming in, 1,700 orders would have been a drop in the bucket. We figured up at the rate that orders were coming in still on Tuesday, we probably could have had close to 4,000 orders by the end of day on Friday. And so, you know, we shut it off because we didn't want it to be a month from now. And we're still pumping out orders from the initial week. I didn't want to do that because, you know, I mean, it's crazy. It said it was in stock. And now you're telling me that most people don't understand that. We talked about it a lot last week. Everybody, you know, I think a lot of the market out there has the Amazon, you know, effect.
Yes.
I ordered it today. It ought to be on my doorstep tomorrow, you know, kind of thing. And well, with baits like this, baits like, you know, like Clutch, you know, he does drops too, because everything's hand built. So, you know, it's different. So we're going to do them in drops. And then next year we'll be more prepared.
Yeah.
There won't be any issues like this again. You know, we may run into where there's a surge and it may take a drag a little bit for it to go out, but for the most part, we're prepared, or we're going to be prepared. So I try not to make the same mistake twice.
Well, you learn.
You know, I'm not saying that we're going to drop the ball and not have something like a rivet or something like that, but you know, I mean, but you know, we pull from multiple vendors, so we make sure that we get enough product here. So we're still having some logistic. There's some parts that we're making sure that we can have enough of. I wish I could just turn the switch on and say, have at it. But you know, we have a lot of parts. We're not pouring soft plastics, you know, where we just buy buckets of plastisol. We have a bait that has multiple parts to it. I'll just go ahead and give you the gold blades, for instance. There is not a lure part website in the US right now that is selling gold blades because we wiped them out. Those companies actually called us and were like, did you mean to order that many? Absolutely. What's going on? Like, you don't even want to know.
But that is a good problem to have.
Heck yeah.
And it's
so
also
gold blades. So gold blades are going to be in short supply. When we do drops, gold blades will be the smallest number because we want to spread them out. We have blade orders coming in. Will be coming in weekly on gold blades. The rest of them, we paint them in-house, so we don't have any issues with the paint and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we order raw blades, we paint them, but it's the plated blades that take the longest, and we're at the mercy of the people that plate them. So we're at the mercy of those. So if there's somebody in front of us, then, you know, it may take a week or so. You know, but hey, FOMO, right? Got that FOMO thing going on, right?
Yeah.
So
listen, I get it. I get it 100%. Let's hit up Adam's question, because we've talked buzzbaits this entire time, and we do have a non-buzzbait question. Adam Mathis right there. Not buzzbait related, but what conditions do you look for when throwing a jackal riser? What is your setup for throwing it? Braid to leader, straight braid, etc.
So I throw it at schooling fish.
Okay.
And I throw it on my Cash and Icon drop shot rod with it's got 12-pound braid and an 8-pound leader.
An 8-pound leader. What conditions are you looking to throw it at? I mean, like, does it work better sunny, cloudy, or you just throw it?
Conditions depend on the color of lure that I throw. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw it no matter what.
Do you throw that?
No.
I didn't think you did.
No. Yeah.
He's not
everything but a big one.
Yeah, it's a little thing. John don't throw little things.
So Alex, do you change the hooks out on it?
I do not.
Oh, here we go. You got some juice for us?
Well, I do when they
look at his face right
they
there.
break pretty easy.
We throw it a lot here. We throw it a lot here. And
okay.
We had a pro in here, and he said, hey, you know, if you change the hooks on that, it runs a little better. I was like, really? He is like, oh yeah.
Well, after the show, you can tell me what hook. I don't want these guys.
So we actually, they have like
be part of the family there, Alex.
Well, they got like a size 10 hook in it or something like that.
They're small.
Yeah, they're tiny.
It's small. So we went to one size bigger. And it's like an 8 or a 6. I can't remember if we went to an 8 or a 6.
Right.
But they don't get tangled up or anything like that. But it allows that bait to, when you're moving it through the water, because you can use it up on the top, and if you're trying to keep it on the top, smaller hooks or whatever. But we use it. It's kind of like where the credge got going. That's basically what So if you put those heavier hooks on it, you can fish it over the brush piles. It gets down faster, and the hookup ratio is a little better.
I got a question for you. Being in Arkansas, are you mostly a largemouth lake, or do you guys have spots like we got here?
Our spotted bass are like cockroaches. They are small. They're a nuisance. And they're ferocious eaters. They eat everything. Yeah. So our spotted bass, I mean, if you catch a 2-pound spotted bass here, it's a pretty good one. There are larger ones here, like 3. We've seen some 3-pounders, but our typical spotted bass here is between 14 and 16 inches.
You got to come down
or smaller. Yeah, dude, I didn't know what to do with one of those fish.
No.
So I was on live a couple of weeks ago on Lake Hamilton. Lots of boat docks, lots of spotted bass, lots of largemouth, whatever. And Tyler Ward was on there with me. And he was on live too. We had a friend of ours that was just on there. He was reading questions off for us and stuff. And I'm over there like just catching these spotted bass, like just boom, they're hitting it at the side of the boat. They're just, they're just annihilated. And I was like, yeah, look at this little dinky guy. And Tyler catches one over he lives in North Carolina, so he caught one of those good ones over there. He's like, that's a spotted bass. I was like, dude, that's a freak of nature, man. That's like around here, somebody wouldn't mount that thing.
Really? Like Lake Lanier would blow your mind.
Oh yeah.
Because you catch a 3-pounder on Lanier, and you're like, you're culling it. Yeah. You're going to cull it. That's like, I got to get rid of a 3-pounder. We need to get him over there.
What was it I saw? I guess I saw Jay Lee commented a couple of years ago that was a tournament one over there on spots like 25 or 27 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, he came in third, I think, with like 23 and 24 pounds.
I would tell you that on the better tournament trails, if guys are not coming in with 20 pounds, they don't bother weighing in.
Right.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
All spots. That's blueback herring though for you. You guys just need some blueback herring.
We don't have that herring over here and stuff. But
it'll change your life. So Steven Sturgeon, is Z-Man goat too big to use as a trailer?
No, use it. It works really well.
Okay. We got any more questions?
And the Goat Junior, if you can find the Goat Juniors, they work really good on the Weed Whacker. They're very buoyant, so they work really well on it. Okay,
perfect. Mike got in the chat. Can you type in his website once you get caught up?
Yep.
If not, we'll make sure we do that. Dave Raleigh says, "Good stuff. Takes time. People just don't have patience anymore." And that's going back to the manufacturing and all that. We do live in the Amazon world, and it's just like, trust me, I know. You do the best you can, but it's unfortunate that they do. They feel like if you build something, it's got to be there the very next day, and they don't. And I get it, but to be and I don't do nothing near on the scale you guys do. I tie some jigs, but I also run a shop, and we're doing that. There's a lot going on to it, so it's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Braves, thank you, Anthony Hampton. Let's see. Lure Parts Online has some gold blades. Kendall 84 said that. So maybe
they got them. They just got them because I wiped them out last week. And they told me we'd be 3 weeks before they got more. So
you guys better buy the damn things before he buys them. That's
Yeah, I will be going on there here in just a minute.
Yeah, there you go. Well, if are we caught up with Nutsky? Is he the last one?
Yeah, we're down to the bottom.
We're down to the bottom. Good. All right. So Tyler was fishing on Norman. Joshua must have been watching your live or something like that. So
okay, yeah.
Any of you guys got any questions for him before
What made you decide to jump into making Buzzbaits? What made you make that first one?
I don't know. I always liked fishing Buzzbaits. I mean, you can see from some of the stuff that, and when I first started making baits, I just made jigs. When Brazalo first started out, it was Brazalo Custom Jigs, and then we made a bladed jig. The little split ring thing. Whatever. And then I started hacking around on some spinner baits, used the old poison tail mold from Do It Molds. We just took a hacksaw to it and cut a blade arm into it, a slot for it. We started making those. And then I was like, man, I want to make my own buzzbait, because I was still using the booyahs and lunker lures and, and old stuff that I had. So I just started tinkering around with it. I had a buzzbait mold that I was making buzzbaits out of for myself. And then we just started messing with it. And I mean, I really don't even remember like all of the stuff that we did. It was fun. I was tinkering with stuff. So that's what I was telling my wife the other night. We were talking about kind of just talking about what's going on right now. And, I said, I'm trying to mentally adjust for the changes that are happening, because I do this full time now. I quit my job in 2021 to do this full time. And way back in the day, it was just pure fun. I mean, we were coming up with some crazy stuff. We were taking a cutting torch. We were heating up hooks and bending hooks, and it was fun to tinker on that stuff. But, now the tinkering is kind of, it's gotten a little more, I don't really know the word for it. Like
how about strategic? You have to be strategic.
Yeah, well, because it's something that I want to put out of our own creation to the public.
Yeah.
We're working on, so Tony can get excited about this because I know he loves them. We're working on a new strutter.
Yeah, I got the same first one that I bought from Trevor at Motivated over a year ago, and it's still.
Yeah, so we're building.
You got like googly eyes and all that when he said that. Y'all both kind of like, oh.
So we're building a new strutter right now, and we want to make sure it runs. So there was something. So we'll throw it out there. There's something that the strutter does, and if Alex has a old direct connect strutter, there's something that strutter does that most other bladed jigs can't do on the market. And we call it a slide. It slides, where it darts and stuff like that. When we put the switchblade onto it, it stopped that. And now that the Z-Man patent's gone, we're working on the strutter to get the slide back. Basically where that bait's going through the water, how your jackhammers do, and they all of a sudden juke off to the side. The strutter can do that. But I think we've pretty much got it dialed in now. We changed the hook. We've changed, some other stuff on it. So the hookup ratio, it's not going to have that big meat hook that's in it anymore, which I know Tony likes it. But it's going to have the same keeper system. The head's going to be the exact same. But we changed a few things on it. So when it comes to the tinkering part of it, I'm still tinkering on baits, but it costs more money now. So, we have to be very calculated with what we do, how we do it. Because, when I was tinkering with baits before, it was for myself. It was fun. I put something out there. It didn't work. Whatever. Just threw it in trash. We started over. Now we can't necessarily do that. So, right. because I feel like we built a name that projects quality, customer service, and an expectation. People expect a certain level from us.
Yeah, well, it's a business. It's a business.
It is. Well, some people with businesses, they don't give a crap. They'll put junk out. They put it in a prepackaged. They put junk out there, and they call it good. And it's like whatever. If I just sell a metric ton of these. Whatever. I made my money. Some of them work, some of them don't. I want to make sure that every one of our baits works exactly as it does when we say it does.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. So going back, I drifted off that a little bit. Going back, we're still trying to find the happy ground here with the work. We're still having a good time doing it because, like Tim said, hey, if this ever gets where it's not fun anymore, we need to stop doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're still trying the fun, we still have the fun aspect in here, and that's what we talked about with my wife and I, where it's like, we all are trying to keep the fun going.
For sure.
Because it started out as fun. Now it's shifted to, this has to work. I turned 50 years old this year. and I'm pretty sure. I know. I know. It's
yeah.
I'm if I shave my beard off, I look as young as Tony.
I can call him kid. He's younger than I am.
So we're still trying to keep it. We're still trying to keep it light around here, you know. And
I understand.
So the tinkering's still fun. I think my brain's about used up on stuff that we tinker on, but we still have a few tricks up our sleeve.
I got you. All right, I'm gonna give you 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna let you go because you got a bunch of shit you got to make.
Yeah, I got a bunch of gold blades I got to go buy. Apparently,
you got to go buy them gold blades real quick. First of all, a comment first, though, and you ain't got to pull it up there, Tim. But Andy Miller says this was a Buzzbait university level podcast tonight. We can't thank you enough. So absolutely. That, and I echo that sentiment too. I learned a lot.
Oh yeah.
But here's your last 2 questions. I know what you're gonna say about the first one. But Brad Silvers goes, I know I've talked to you about it before, but please make a double buzz with floats. And I know you said something earlier. Look, I see your head bend down. So I know you said that. And then Darian Moss wants to know, what's your favorite blade color?
You know, I always go to black.
That's not what I thought he was going to say.
I thought he was.
I go to black a lot. My thought process on black, whether it's dirty or clear water, dirty water, it gives a silhouette, gives a larger silhouette in the water. Clear water, I like the black because fish aren't honing in on the shimmer. And the only reason why I say that is because on spinnerbaits, there's a lot of times fish will grab blades because of the shimmer in the water. They're going, they're trying to grab that or, or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I've lost bites because fish are blowing up on the blade. So I always gravitate to a black blade or painted blade because there's no shine to it. There's no shimmer to it. Now, with that being said, there are fisheries. We'll just take into Lake Ouachita.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're not throwing a black frog on a gold blade, you're probably not going to get bit. That is a dominant setup out there. If you go to Lake DeGray, you're probably not going to get bit with that. Something else is probably going to work better. But I feel like also too, I throw weird colors. I tell people to be weird all the time. And if you're throwing, let's just throw the yellow horny toad out there. If you're throwing a yellow horny toad and you're throwing a bright, shiny blade on there, I feel like you're giving the fish too much target. So you want them to hone in on the bait itself. So like this bait here with this red head, it's separate. It is, and this goes into jig fishing. If you guys are jig fishermen, color separation, where, on your jigs, where you have black and blue or, different. So it's a target separation for fish that can zone in on it. So when you have a white skirt with a red head, that's why War Eagle did so well with this buzzbait set up just like this because of the color separation in it. So if you're throwing this big shiny blade with a big shiny bait on the back side of it, I feel like the fish can't hone in on the business end. It's like a mullet, you want the, business in the front, party in the back kind of thing, whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
So I always gravitate to either a just plain aluminum blade. You can see here, plain aluminum or silver or a black or a white blade. So in stained water, we have a sleeper buzzbait that hardly ever sells. And if you fish in a dirty water situation with the Wee Whacker, the white blade is a sleeper. And Tim and I were talking about it because it's so small of a bait, the white blade on it. I don't know what it is about that thing. I either throw just the aluminum blade or the white blade on that Wee Whacker. A lot of people like the gold and stuff like that. Oh, and by the way, for you Georgia folks, there's 140 copper blades loaded up right now for weed whackers on the
138.
website.
138, because hell, he bought some a second ago. Right in the middle of the damn show. He's buying, he's over there shopping.
So I want to throw that out there. There's also there's also copper M1s on the website as well. So for all you copper freaks out there.
Well, you better have some black blades in stock after you said that, because I imagine you're going to sell it for you.
I think, just to boil down to Moss's question, it all comes into confidence. Whatever you're confident in throwing, that you feel, because if you don't have confidence in what you're throwing, you're not going to catch any fish with it.
Yeah.
So if you have confidence in the gold blade, throw the gold blade. If you have confidence in the white blade, throw the white blade. And that's what we are. On the days where we're not out fishing a tournament, which I don't get to fish tournaments much anymore, but days where bites matter, I'm not going to change up from what I have confidence in. Days where I'm out there just goofing off and running around, I'm going to go try something different. Go pick up something that you don't normally pick up. You may be surprised.
Now we need one with like a 8 to 10 odd hook for 7 and 8 inch paddle tails.
Yeah, that's what you
That'd
did.
be awesome.
A buzzbait with a 7 or 8.
With an all 8 aught.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, you kayaker guys.
While you guys are over there loading up your carts with Buzzbaits, check out those SRS shaky heads too.
Yeah.
You are the pitch magnet, dude.
I'm telling you, the shaky head's big around here. So
yeah.
Shaky head's bigger.
I'm surprised you don't have your jersey on tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm saving that for the
Alex, for all those for all of those orders that we got, like obviously the Buzzbait was the magnet to the website. We had 3 orders for shaky heads.
Wow.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
Guys, go buy some shaky heads from the guy.
They're good. They're nice.
Good.
So,
okay, I got you. Well, I tell you what, you've been on. I know you're busy, and you just gave us 2 hours of your time. And
I haven't ate all day. I'm going to go home and eat dinner.
Go home and eat. Listen, I haven't eaten. I'm dieting. I'm trying to lose weight and like that. But I've been
chowing on. I've been chowing on this stuff and Cliff Bars, and that's what we've been eating around here.
Well, Danny, though, listen, seriously, thank you very much for taking some time. I know you're busy, and these guys absolutely love your baits. Absolutely. They don't shut up about them. It gets annoying sometimes. Listen, I'm just kidding, guys. But, but it is. They love it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I know sometimes I ramble. I get off topic a little bit sometimes, so I apologize for that. But
not during the show.
But so you know what? When the guests can actually talk, it makes my job a lot easier.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot easier because I can sit back and listen and all that. But you threw out a bunch of stuff that I actually learned something tonight, and I think a lot of guys that are watching or will watch or listen to in the future will learn something. So thank you very much for doing that. And
the information that we're putting out there, that's just stuff that we've learned along the way.
Yeah.
I'm there's probably people that think it's nonsense, but hey, that's just stuff that we do.
Hey, listen,
try. If it helps somebody else, then more power to y'all. Well, so that's what we're here for.
That's it. Well, I appreciate you taking your time, and I don't want to tell you to get back to work, but get back to work and keep putting out a quality product. But we appreciate you, and I look forward to having you on here again in the future.
Thanks, Danny.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, buddy. Thank you. All right, guys, listen, that's a hell of an episode.
Man.
That was a great follow-up to last time he was here.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this.
It's going in the watch later file.
Yeah, you got to learn it. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and I hope you go back and watch it again because I don't know that you could absorb all of that in one sitting. There was a lot, but super nice dude, and I'm really happy for his success. It's really cool when you get a pro using your bait, and then all of a sudden it's like boom.
Right, and he didn't even know about it.
It was so organic.
He didn't even know he was using it.
Pro staffing or giving stuff away. It just something that happened.
It is, and I think that's awesome.
Listen, when Pat won, I was like almost shedding a tear because number one, you got a guy like Pat Schlopper winning, and number two, Danny's. I knew I was on my phone like I got to order them as fast as I can,
yeah, because they're gonna be a run on these.
I saw everybody talking about getting MREs or the Weed Whacker.
Yeah.
And, I was like,
I saw you over there ordering like that. I was like, you sly shit right there.
I saw him.
Anyway, guys, listen, hey, we appreciate you. If you're going on the water this weekend, first of all, as always, be safe. keep an eye out, watch other people out on the water, and enjoy your time out there. Hell, if it stops raining here in Georgia, where you can get out there and enjoy the fishing. But Tony, Alex, John, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. And so we'll be back next week, next Tuesday night, with another good episode, setting it up right now as we speak. And hey, enjoy your weekend. We appreciate you.